Good morning, everybody. Day 2 of Move. And it's good to see everybody. I'm Curtis Scott with Aon Growth Ventures, and I run future mobility and digital economy for the firm. I've been in mobility for quite a long time. I've actually had the rare experience of having worked at 4 startups in a row that have all had successful exits. I don't know why that was, but I think I've kind of gleaned some of the things. You've got to have vision. Like when I was at Uber, push a button, get a ride. You got to have some dumb luck along the way, and you've got to run a really operationally great ship. And I want to kind of put that out there as a theme today, because I'm going to talk to you about insurance, how it interacts with operations at a mobility company, and how Aon can help you with those things. So mobility's everywhere today. It's crazy how the world has changed in the last just 10 years alone. You can push a button, get a ride. You can get a $30 burrito brought to you in 5 minutes. You can get your groceries delivered, dry cleaning. There's even pet taxi services now. You can get a private car, a private jet, pretty much any class, micromobility, and we have autonomous cars now, semi-autonomous cars. Really, really rapidly evolving technology at a clip we haven't seen before. And I think you can get caught up in all the tech, and that's easy. But I always like to break down to what's actually happening here today. And I think this image is a pretty good representation of what's happening in a lot of these instances. First thing, you've got a vehicle, a modality. Could be your feet, could be a bike, but usually it's a car, truck, or a van. Second thing you have is, increasingly, still the case, but a human operating the modality. How do you get from point A to B? You have technology increasingly in there. How are you dispatched? How are you routed? Where do you get to? And you have, lastly here, commerce happening, a package being delivered. Something's being done here for a business purpose. And what I like about this picture is you have 2 happy employees too, which is better than 2 angry people driving a car. But those are your core things, right? You've got a car, you've got a human, and you've got some technology interacting. And I think mobility is super interesting from an insurance standpoint, because everywhere in the world you operate a car, except for Egypt and New Hampshire, you have to have commercial auto insurance to do that. It's required by the law. And so therefore, it's a material part of your operations. It's the difference between an exciting profit margin and a challenging profit margin. It's something that you have to really put your focus on. And I've run insurance at Uber early on, where I had to figure out, how do I create a new category of insurance? How do I pay for it? How do I get it in 86 countries across the world? But then I had my Coke versus Pepsi moment, where I went over to Lyft and then ran operations for a number of years and actually had to own the expense on that and figure out how do I manage that cost efficiently. And that's what all of our clients have, that core issue, that core desire to transform that. And I want to take you through today how we can help you along that journey. And it's funny how customers think about it. You think of I push a button and get a ride, and it's just this linear straight line of A to B. But behind the scenes, it's absolute chaos. I mean, think about all the cardboard just flying over America right now on the Amazon plane, just smacking into each other. Yet that piece of paper or that pen you ordered shows up at your house in less than 1 day. That's logistics. That's a nightmare to coordinate, and they make it seem seamless. But behind the scenes, it's a litany of issues, and the companies that are successful make it seem like it's simple from A to B. But behind the scenes, they're challenging. In the world, it's going at a clip that we've never seen before. The way assets are being utilized, partial fractional use, car sharing. We're also seeing people's behaviors change. People are driving less themselves. They're driving faster since COVID. I don't understand why, but even though we had less miles being driven during COVID, severity went up on the road. There was actually less stuff to run into, yet we as humans figured out how to run into more things. The cost of cars are increasingly expensive to repair. So the world's changing, and it takes a while for everything else to catch up to it. And companies have to start looking at what are those trends? What are the data points they can use to address them? And how can they improve their operations ahead of time? So last year at Move, our Chief Innovation Officer, Jillian Slyfield, said, we're here to help, but we're also here to listen. And what we heard from companies was first barrier that they had was insurance is expensive. It's costly, and it's going up year over year. The second thing we heard from them is they need more data, more understanding. They need solutions that are built for mobility players. But we also heard other things, that it's getting harder and harder to recruit drivers, to get software engineers. There's a war for talent and people out there. And we want help with those things. And I'm here to say that we listened last year. We're here for you now. We've got solutions, and I'm going to talk about a couple of those solutions today that are data-driven solutions built for mobility players that solve core operational problems. And there's a fun quote, if you're not tired of my big red shoes. So here's the framework that I like to take mobility players through and where Aon can help you along the journey. The first one is called risk selection. Let's take a fleet of cars, for instance. The first critical choice that they really need to make is who is driving the vehicle. That is both a cost in two ways. One, a safe driver is not going to run into stuff at the same as an unsafe driver. And so that is a lost cost reduction in savings. But second, it's expensive to recruit and hire people in the first place. So you want to make sure that those dollars you spend on your acquisition costs are targeted and are right. And so Aon has a host of talent assessment tools. We perform millions of these checks a year for leading companies to help you focus in on who is the right talent for the job that you're hiring for. How can you get a competitive advantage there? And we also have partners like Samba Safety that can help you do the other checks and verifications and vetting on that talent to make sure that you are getting the best risk selection pool possible. The next thing that you have to do then, that you've picked a good risk pool, is then how is it actually happening now in real life? Do you have data on how the vehicle's operating? Telemetry, you've heard it already a few times this morning in the last panel, is a great example. We can help you pick the right telematics service provider and then teach you how can you use that data to manage your losses, to prevent your accidents, to negotiate your insurance rates. We can help you figure that out. And we've announced yesterday here at Move that we've launched the Aon Fleet Risk Intelligence Tool Suite. And what this does is it's a platform that consumes telemetry and then enriches it with all the contextual information around that vehicle. What's the weather like? What's the quality of the road? What's the population density? And when you take that telemetry and that context together, you get the full operating environment to know what is the actual risk. And we can transform that into insights. So fleet managers no longer in the dark. They can say, this 2% of drivers is driving up my losses. That route over there is not actually profitable and I should charge more for it. And you can have some pretty profound operational results when you start having that data in real time. And the right companies that leverage it will make operational changes. They will become better, they will increase their profitability. And we're here to help you along that journey. And then once you understand things, then you can allocate capital correctly. Do you retain risk? Do you buy insurance and transfer risk? And at what price? And we're here to help you along that journey. And I always like to help every company have no accidents. That's the gold standard. But we do know accidents will occur. And when they do, then how do you get your claim recognized, posted to your insurance partner, and paid? And that's a very human experience too, right? An auto accident is generally that person's worst day in their life. And you want it taken care of promptly, empathetically, and correctly. And we're here to help companies along that journey. And so I've built a team at Aon to help do that. And I call it out because it's a little different. It may not be the people you think. We have insurance professionals. We have brokers. And we have lots of them, and they're great. And we've got them in every country in the world. But we also have data engineers and software engineers. We have leading data scientists from some of the best academic facilities in the world. We've got actuaries, of course, because you've got to price insurance. Startup operators like myself, just on my team alone, we have folks from Uber, Lyft, Get, Airbnb, Go Brands, and others that have been through this experience before, from fundraising to being a Series A to a B to going public to maybe going private to going public again. We've got that experience, and we're here to bring it to you to help. And we've got PhDs and academics as well, leading in things like behavioral science and roadway safety. So think more of Aon than just being just a broker. Think of us as a counselor. Think of us as an insurance advisor, as a risk manager, as someone that can help you make your operations better and have an advantage as a mobility player in the marketplace. So that is the gist. Please stop on by our booth today if you'd like to get a demo of the Fleet Risk Intelligence Tool or talk about our talent assessment suite. And again, I'll leave you with this. We help you with protection. How do you make your balance sheet safer? People, how do you onboard the right people and retain the right talent? And lastly, how can you improve your operations, expand your margins, and grow your business? Thank you.